Let's do these 6 examples of determining the convergence or divergence of a sequence. This video has chapters, so you can skip around the problems as you please. In this first problem, we have the sequence ln n divided by ln of 3n. So we're trying to evaluate the limit of that expression as n goes to infinity. Here we can start by using one of our log rules. Remember that the log of a product can be written as the sum of the individual logs. Log AB is equal to log A plus log B. We can apply that here because in the denominator, we have the natural log of 3 times n. Let's rewrite this as addition. Then we have the limit as n goes to infinity of the natural log of n in the numerator, and in the denominator, we rewrite the log of 3n as the log of 3 plus the log of n. Now, we see that the natural log of n is the dominant term here, since the only other thing is the natural log of 3, which is fixed. So what we'll do is divide the numerator by the natural log of n, and divide the denominator by the natural log of n. So in total, we're just multiplying everything by 1. Doesn't change anything, but it will make the expression more obvious. In the numerator, dividing the natural log of n by the natural log of n is 1. In the denominator, dividing the natural log of n by the natural log of n is 1, and then we have the natural log of 3 divided by the natural log of n. Now as n goes to infinity, so too does the natural log of n, so this term, log 3 over log n, is certainly going to 0, because its numerator is a fixed constant, and its denominator is getting arbitrarily large. Hence, the limit is just 1 over 1, which of course is 1. So our sequence does converge, and it converges to 1. In our second example, we're looking at n squared times e to the negative n. We can change this negative exponent to a positive by putting the term in the denominator. So we rewrite it as n squared over e to the n. And we're looking at this limit as n goes to infinity. Now, if we tried to just plug in infinity, we would of course have infinity squared in the numerator, which is infinity, divided by e to the infinity in the denominator, which is infinity. We would have infinity over infinity, which you may recognize as an indeterminate form. And so this is exactly the sort of situation where we should use L'Hopital's rule. Indeed, just as we've used L'Hopital's rule to evaluate the limits of functions, we can use it to evaluate the limit of a sequence. We can differentiate the numerator and denominator, which will give us 2n and e to the n. So this limit is equal to this one, provided this one exists. But this limit has the same problem. It's still in an indeterminate form. But we can apply L'Hopital's rule again, differentiating the numerator to get 2, and again differentiating the denominator to get e to the n. At this point, it's clear the limit is 0 because the denominator is getting arbitrarily large, while the numerator is a fixed constant. So the sequence converges to 0. Here's our third example, the natural log of n plus 1 minus the natural log of n. What's the limit of this as n goes to infinity? Well, again, we can try applying our log rules, because the difference of two logs can be rewritten as the log of the quotient. The natural log of a minus the natural log of b, that's the same as the natural log of a divided by b. So we can rewrite this as the natural log of n plus 1 divided by n. Now what we're going to do, since the natural log is a continuous function, is take this limit inside the natural log, and then also divide the numerator and denominator of this expression by the dominant term, which is n. So we'll divide the numerator by n, and we'll divide the denominator by n inside that natural log, which again is where we're going to move the limit. So there the limit is brought inside the natural log, and then dividing the numerator by n gives us 1 plus 1 over n. Dividing the denominator by n gives us 1. So this is the natural log of the limit of this as n goes to infinity. And of course, as n goes to infinity, 1 over n goes to 0. And so inside the natural log, we're just left with 1 over 1, which is 1. So this is the natural log of 1, which we know to be 0, because we must raise e to the power of 0 to get 1. So this sequence too is convergent, and it has 0 as its limit. Here's our fourth example. An equals the nth root of 2 to the 4 plus 5n. So we're trying to evaluate this limit as n goes to infinity. Let's begin by rewriting this as an exponent. So instead of having the nth root, well, that's the same as having a power of 1 over n. So let's do that rewriting. So we have 2 to the 4 plus 5n raised to the power of 1 over n. So we've just rewritten the radical as a rational exponent. Then by our exponent laws, we can just multiply this exponent across through that one. So it becomes 4 plus 5n over n. Of course, that's the exponent of 2. And n is going to infinity. Well, now this is just going to be 2 to the limit of this. But the limit of this exponent as n goes to infinity, you should know the numerator and denominator are both polynomials of degree 1. So the limit as n goes to infinity is just going to be the ratio of the leading coefficients of the numerator and denominator. That is 5 divided by 1. That's the ratio of the leading coefficients. So the limit as n goes to infinity is just going to be 2 to the power of 5, because the exponent is approaching 5. And this, of course, is equal to 32. So the sequence does converge. It converges to 32. Number 5, we've got the sequence 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on. At each stage, it increases the number of zeros by 1 before the next one occurs. So we'd have 4 zeros next, and then we would have a 1, and then 5 zeros and a 1, and so on. Does this sequence converge? Well, it's easy to see that it does not. The limit of this sequence does not exist. It doesn't get arbitrarily close to any number. It's 0 a lot of the time. It's 1 a lot of the time. It's not converging to anything. You might say, well, look, there's 100 zeros here. There's 101 zeros here, 102 zeros here. So maybe it converges to 0, but it certainly doesn't, because every string of zeros is interrupted by 1. So it's not getting arbitrarily close to 0. It's not getting arbitrarily close to 1. It has a sort of strange oscillating behavior. It doesn't converge. Its limit doesn't exist. Here is our last example. We're looking at the sequence -4 to the n divided by n factorial. Now, this sequence is alternating. Because of the -4 to the n, it will alternate between negative and positive. So the only way it can converge is if this sequence, which is the same thing but without the negative, if this sequence converges to 0. That is, the absolute values of the terms of this sequence have to converge to 0. Since it alternates between positives and negatives, those can't converge to the same thing unless that thing is 0. So we're going to consider this sequence, the terms being just the absolute values of these ones, so drop the negative. And if we can show that this converges to 0, that will establish that our original sequence must converge to 0 as well. Let's call these terms 4 to the n over n factorial. We'll call those bn. So we're going to show this sequence bn converges to 0. We're going to do this using the squeeze theorem. I'll leave a link in the description to my lesson going over the squeeze theorem if you need to review. But we're going to squeeze it between two things that approach 0 and thus show that it must converge to 0 as well. All right, so an arbitrary term of our sequence bn has to look something like this. Because of the 4 to the n in the numerator, we just have 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 n times, however long that has to go. And then in the denominator, because of the n factorial, we have 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 up to n, however far that has to go. Now I've written it in a somewhat peculiar way to emphasize a particular fact. Notice that in the denominator, because of the factorial, we'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of those are less than or equal to the factors of 4 that are in the numerator. But then we have 5, which is bigger than the numerator and certainly every denominator after that will also be bigger than the numerator, which stays at 4. So all of these factors after that 4/5 are less than 4/5. And remember, every term of the sequence is composed of factors like this. It has these ones, and then all these factors afterwards, which are less than 4/5, however many there must be, depending on the size of n. So we can bound each term of the sequence Bn above by this expression. This is just that multiplied by that multiplied by however many factors there are here. They're all less than 4/5, so it would be less than 4/5 to the power of the number of factors that are here. The number of factors that are here is n minus 5, because what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of those factors corresponds to a term of the sequence. And then after that, each term of the sequence has an additional factor as part of this tail. But there are n minus 5 factors there, all of them being less than 4/5, so each term Bn is less than this product, where these n minus 5 factors are replaced with n minus 5 factors of 4/5. Now you might say, since each of these factors does correspond to a term of the sequence, shouldn't we specify here that n has to be at least 5? Otherwise, this doesn't really make sense. And although it is a little weird for n equals 1 through 4, it is still a true statement. If you think about n equals 3, for example, then this becomes 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. And so that negative power is actually going to flip this fraction to 5/4, and it's actually just going to make this whole thing bigger. So the situation is a little weird, but the inequality certainly still holds for all values of n, not just the values of n that are at least 5. So by the sequence's very definition, we can establish that each term is less than this. Now let's rewrite this unyieldy expression. The expression is this times 4/5 times 4/5 to the n minus 5. Multiplying those 5 factors of 4 gives us 1024, and multiplying this part of the denominator gives us 120. Then 4/5 to the n minus 5 we can rewrite as 4/5 to the negative 5, which we see here. Notice that the 5 is positive because we just brought the negative in to flip the 4/5 to 5/4. So this is 4/5 to the minus 5, and we took that out, and so that leaves 4/5 to the n. Together, these two things equal this. Now, these 5 factors of 4 in the denominator completely cancel out with the 1024. And then one factor of 5 can cancel out with a factor of 5 from the 120, leaving us with 5 to the power of 4 divided by 24 times 4/5 to the n. So after that simplification, we've got this inequality. Every term of our sequence, Bn, is certainly less than that and greater than 0, because Bn entirely consists of positive integer expressions with an exponential divided by a factorial. There's no zeros or negatives there. Since Bn is squeezed between those two things, let's try taking the limit across the whole inequality. When we take the limit, we have to change the less thans to less than or equal to's. But the limit of 0 as n goes to infinity, of course, is just 0. Then we have the limit of Bn as n goes to infinity. And then on the right, we have the limit of that expression as n goes to infinity. Now, the limit of this as n goes to infinity, well, 5 to the 4 over 24, that doesn't depend on n, so that is what it is. But 4/5 to the n, that's going to approach 0, because 4/5 is 0.8. It has a magnitude that's less than 1. So when we repeatedly multiply it by itself, as this exponent gets arbitrarily large, it's going to get arbitrarily small. This approaches 0. So this is equal to this times 0, which is 0. Hence, the limit of Bn as n goes to infinity is squeezed between 0 and 0, and thus itself must equal 0. Again, if disregarding the negatives results in a sequence that converges to 0, that does imply the original sequence with the negatives must also converge to 0. So those are a few more sequence limit problems. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to check out my Calculus 2 course and Calculus 2 exercises playlists in the description for more.